today's Coach's Corner, I want to talk about developing shooters, and not from the standpoint of how do we do the fundamentals right and how do we teach the follow through and the stance and all of that. I think most coaches really understand how to do that. Now, there are certain coaches who are better at it than others, but I think we all have the basic idea down for that. What I want to talk about specifically is developing the shooter's mindset and developing maybe a routine for them to go through so that they're ready to shoot and they're ready to perform when they need to. The first thing is, where are they shooting from when they come in the gym? Are they starting at the three-point line, behind the three-point line, at the free throw line? I really believe that players need to start closer to the basket. If you think about just how it goes, if you start shooting from the outside here, and let's say you're a pretty good three-point shooter and shoot 33, 35%, something like that, so 3 out of 10. If you miss your first 7 shots and then you make your next 3, are you thinking I'm on today, I'm going to have a good day shooting, or are you thinking, man, things are just off? When players string together a couple of misses right away, that gets them in the frame of mind like this isn't their day. I want to have their mind set that, hey, this is my day. I'm feeling pretty good about it. And the way that we do that in our program is we have them shoot close in. We start right here, and we're shooting just short shots. We're getting our form right, our fundamentals right, and then we're going from there. Once we make several here, we'll move out, and we start shooting in this area. And we continue to move out to the 15-foot area, and then finally we're in the three-point area. Now, by stepping back, you make 10 out of 10 here, maybe you make 9 out of 10, maybe you make 8 out of 10. Now all of a sudden you're feeling pretty good as you get to the three-point line because you only step back incrementally. And that's a huge difference for shooters rather than I'm shooting a layup than a three-pointer, or I haven't shot at all, but I'm going to shoot the three-pointer to start. So that's one way that we want to make sure that we're developing our players. Now, we have a drill that we use in our practice. It's a time drill. The players get 10 minutes to do it. I'm not going to walk you through the whole drill, but it's a list of fundamental shots that they have to do in 10 minutes to get back to the three-point line. And then they shoot as many three-pointers and make as many as they can. Now, they rebound their own shots, so this is a conditioning drill for them. But if they can't shoot the fundamentals close up, they never get to the three-point line. If they don't get to the three-point line, they can't be considered a green light shooter in our program. Okay, we classify them as green, yellow, and red light shooters. So a player has to get through the fundamentals as fast as they can successfully so that they can step out to the three-point line. Once they're on the three-point line, the more time they have, the more shots they can get up, the more shots, the more makes. If they make it over a certain mark, they get the green light look. If it's a yellow light shooter, that means you have a 2-shot limit. If you miss 2 in a row, you need to do something else. Now, certain players who are taking good shots that are yellow light shooters, I will reset that at halftime for them. Other players who aren't really great shooters, they aren't taking great shot selection, after that limit, they're done for the game. They need to be doing something else. And then a red light shooter, you're only shooting that ball if it's a 3-2-1 end of the quarter or end of the half situation that happens to be in your hands. It doesn't happen too often if we're controlling the game clock right, but if it does, that should be the only time that a red light shooter is looking at shooting a three-pointer. So that's called Bronco shooting. I'll leave a link to it below so that you can go, you can check it out, and then maybe that's something that you can implement. It does take a little bit of time to get your players used to it, but once they're used to it, they get lots of reps, lots of fundamentals, working from the inside out, and we've developed quite a few shooters using that process and using that shooting test. So, Coach, hopefully that helps you out. Now, the next thing is, how are you having them go through their shooting routine? Now, we kind of call it a sweet spot, and then we want to find a place that a player is really comfortable shooting. And I know you hear a lot of people out there, well, they got to do it game speed. Well, if you aren't, game speed isn't good enough. You got to do it defender. Game speed with a defender. And I agree that those things are good, but your players need to work up to that. And they can't come in the gym and do that right away. So here's what I'm talking about. We want to have our players find a sweet spot. Now, I encourage our players to use the elbows as their sweet spot. They never move. They're always the same. There's not really ever any discrepancy. If they want to pick a spot over here, they may pick the same spot in every gym, but a lot of times they might be a little bit closer, a little bit farther away, and there's no reference point for when they're jumping and landing. Are they doing it in the same spot? When you do it from the elbows, you have a good reference to see, are you going left or right, front or back, and you can start to kind of recalculate and recalibrate your shot. So we have them find a sweet spot, and I encourage them to use the elbows. Now, once they do that, we want them to shoot stationary. This means you're just getting reps. So you might have a coach or another player down here rebounding for you, but you're just standing there, we're kicking the ball out, and we're getting our reps in. Maybe we're making 10 of them or something before we move over to the other elbow. But that's the first way we do it. The second way is we want them to start to move. So instead of the player just standing here, they're going to move around this area, and they're going to get lots of shots in a very small area. Now, this is a great technique, especially for free throw shooters, if you're trying to help them develop their free throw shooting, is you want to put them in a position so they're incrementally changing the muscles they're using, the trajectory of their shots a little bit different, and that'll help them really hone in their skills. So we do this when we're jump shooting as well as doing free throws, but this is a great way to help develop consistency in a shot from a specific area, is have them incrementally move. And I'm talking, 4, 6, 8 inches at a time. They're not moving very far, and they're kind of going around a specific point. But we're having them move. So that's the second part. The third part that we want to have them do, get rid of these. The third part is we want them to dribble into it. So this makes that movement even more so, is they're starting here, they're dribbling in, and they're taking a jump shot. Now this requires them to be on balance, to not fade backwards, not to jump too far forward, to go left or right, but really get their feet set, have a good base, make that shot every single time. So that's the third part. Again, coach will rebound, kick the ball back out for them, and they're going to go ahead and they're going to get lots of reps there. The last part, the fourth part, is to do this against a defender. Now that defender can be right in front of them, the defender can start on the side of them, the defender can be the one who hands the ball off to them if you want. So maybe they're doing it on the side here, and they're going to hand the ball, and now it's live, and we're shooting from the same spot, but that defender's on the side, so they get used to pressure. You could have them do it from behind, so the defender is behind the offensive player, defender hands the ball in front of them, and they're going to go ahead and take that dribble, and the defender's coming up behind them. Now, tell your players not to block the shot, or maybe you do want them to block it, but you're developing the offensive player's ability to shoot under pressure and shoot the same way every time. Now, a player who is struggling with arc on their shot and is struggling with getting their shot off quickly, I'm going to give you a real quick way that you could help them fix this. Have them start inside here and have the coach or a player stand an arm's length away. So when you reach out, you can touch the ball, and that's it. You can't touch them, you can just touch the ball, and you're kind of down in a defensive stance. Put your hand on that ball and have them get ready to shoot. As soon as you remove your hand, you're going to slap your leg, and then you're going to come up to block it. In the time that it takes you to slap your leg and to come up and block the player's shot, they need to be able to get that shot off. The first 3 or 4 times it's going to be an air ball. They're going to shoot it way too hard. They're developing that ability to figure out where is it that I need my arc to be so that it goes in the hoop, how much power do I need, how fast am I going, but it really develops a quick shot. As they get used to it, you'll start to see that they're hitting the rim a lot, and then eventually they'll start making them. But this is a great way if you have a player who's got a flat shot, a slow shot, or somebody who just needs to have another level to their game and their shooting. That's a great way for you to develop that, because it doesn't give them much time from you slapping your hand and then jumping up to try to block that shot. So, coach, that's one way that you can help them out. I hope that these drills have helped you. Some of these ideas have helped you in how you develop your shooters, but you want the mindset of your shooter to be one of confidence, one where this is my day for shooting. So start them in close, have them move back, then have them find that sweet spot where they can dial it in, they can get real comfortable, and then start adding movement, start adding a defender there. And now all of a sudden you're creating a player who's ready for some competition, who's ready for some pressure. If you go right into the pressure first, what you're going to do is you're going to have players who are real frustrated because they're missing it, not because they couldn't make it, but because they never built themselves up mentally and they never got the reps that they needed to really dial things in before the defender got there. So, Coach, hopefully this helps you out, and we'll see you at the next Coach's Corner. Thanks.